My dog is staring at me because she doesn't understand what a camera is, what lights are. She has no idea. She's terrified. So yeah. Hello. So tonight, this is my first YouTube video, and I am very conscious about what I'm going to say and how many times I'm going to say and looking at the camera like a normal person. Normal. Yes. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about me, as if that's not going to be every video that we do here. So I want to talk tonight a little bit about myself and a little bit about why I'm doing YouTube right now and sort of why I want to do a channel about quilting and why quilting matters to me. I think anyone who's watched YouTube sort of thinks about making a video from time to time, and then they either do or they don't. And for a long time I thought, okay, it's not a good idea for me to make a YouTube video. I don't have anything original to say and no one cares. And I'm a chronically friendless shut-in who stays in the craft room all the time and just makes quilts and goes on crazy fixations. That changed during this special time in our lives, you know? Everyone's talking about the special time. And I happen to be in one of those communities in California where we've been in quarantine now for probably 3 months. So it's been a while. I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home, and it's been a while since I have been to a store. It's been a while since I've done anything. I think I go outside maybe once a week to go to the grocery store, and we've been out a couple times to get medicine or to take Callie, my dog, to the vet. But that's it. So at first I really liked it, as all of you introverts will completely understand, and I went through my stash and I finished projects that I had not touched in months. But I've noticed that I keep having this feeling like I'm waiting for something interesting to happen, or I'm just waiting for the next thing. I'm waiting for this to end. And in my case, I don't have any sort of like sickness or anything, and luckily no one in my household has gotten sick during this, but a lot of my old friends live across the country from me now, and it's been really tough to find a community. And I think a lot of people in their early 30s can relate. I mean, we don't have children or anything, and it seems like the people that I meet are either too busy to make friends with, or we don't gel, or they have kids and they want to have obviously like a play date. I'm making this channel to reach out into the ether and find some sort of quilting community. I mean, I have been on channels, especially recently, so I don't know about you. If you're watching this, maybe you agree, but I've been watching so much YouTube lately. I have it on all day. I have it on during work. And honestly, I just want to see more people doing long form content talking about quilts and fabric and sewing. I find it very comforting just to watch people. Like, I watched a video the other night. It was like 45 minutes of a lady just going through her fabric stash and showing the camera each type of fabric and talking about it. You might be wondering about my channel name, Swamp Hag Quilts. It's for kind of 3 reasons, honestly. The first reason is I didn't want to get too precious with the name. I recently had a birthday and I called myself a swamp hag because, you know, it's only a matter of time. And my aesthetic has always been sort of dark. As you can see, my part of my Ouija board collection is behind me. And, you know, I like skulls and spooky things and Halloween. And I feel like the quilting community could use a little bit of a darker aesthetic here and there. There was a third reason, and now I can't remember it. I'll talk a little bit about my sewing life quickly so you have some context. I have always been a crafty person, even when I was very young, but no one in my family sewed. And so I didn't learn how to quilt from my grandmother or my mother. Although my grandmother did teach me to crochet, which was really nice. And I do crochet to this day, mainly in winter and mainly things that are long and square or long and rectangular. So I guess I've been taking part in these crafty hobbies, and I started quilting when I was 29 and I had just met my husband, and it was our first year of dating, and it was Christmas time, and I wanted to make him something. I didn't have a machine at that point, so I bought a $35 machine off of Craigslist because I was in graduate school at the time, and I was so broke that, yeah, I didn't think it was possible to get very much more broke than that. The top of his quilt is made out of an old tablecloth and 1/2 of a sheet set. And the backing is made out of another half of that same sheet set that I dyed with RIT dye. Couldn't afford templates, so I asked my roommate at the time to make templates from scrap wood that he had in his wood shop in the garage of our shared house. So yeah, so ever since then, I haven't been into quilting the whole time. Every once in a while I become completely delusional and think that just because I can sew quilts, that means I can also sew garments. And if you're very talented, I'm sure you can do that, but I can't. I've made a couple things and I hate them. And they don't fit and they look horrible. Let me talk about, I guess, plans for this channel. As long as we're here. That took a lot less time than I thought it would to explain all that. I have no idea what I've been saying. The camera terrifies me. I thought that I might like do a little something while we're talking, like rip some stitches out of something that I'm thinking of ripping some stitches out over there on my design wall. Or, you know, embroidering something that I need to be finishing, but that's not going to happen because I don't know how people can talk to a camera and stay coherent. But that's okay, because this is my first video, and, you know, years from now, I'll make it private and no one will remember it exists. But anyway, so let me talk about plans for this channel. I want to talk about the history of quilting some. I got a bunch of books and I'm really interested in sort of the way quilting has changed into what it is now. And I really like the historical aspect. That's one of the things that really drew me to quilting, is the familial, traditional family aspect of making something out of cast off scraps. And part of that too, I actually acquired, I think last year, an antique quilt, a crazy quilt. And I've recently been on Etsy buying lots of little fabrics with the plan to restore it. Well, okay, so let me just say one thing. This is not a quilt that I'm going to be restoring to museum quality or anything like that. It's restoration for my own use, my own display, for fun. So if that bothers you, you probably shouldn't watch that series. And I just want to show you real quick. I got this piece on Etsy, and it has some really awesome swallow embroidery, which I think is amazing. And I'm going to be probably ripping it out and putting it in that crazy quilt later. So if you want to see that, that'll be a video. So here's another thing that I don't do. I don't save my scraps. I don't know why this is, but in quilting YouTube, there are a lot of people who make scrappy blocks, which is great. I like scrap quilts. I've never made one, but I can see the appeal. I just have never been the type of person to save every little bit of something I'm working on, like the smaller pieces, you know. But I was recently watching The Quilting Marine, which is a channel that I highly suggest that you check out. And he saves all of his scraps religiously and then makes these crazy, you know, patchwork, crazy quilts. And so because of that, I have begun to create a huge nest of orphan blocks and scraps and offcuts. So we'll see what I do with this. It was my birthday recently, and I got some Oroville thread. It is still being shipped because of, you know, the situation. But I've never used it before. I've never had any fancy thread, so I would like to do an official review, you know, now that I have the fancy Italian thread. I'd like to talk about sourcing fabric, where like big box stores like Hobby Lobby or like Joann's versus quilt stores versus Etsy. I think that the current situation and some of the business practices that I've seen from places like Hobby Lobby has really made me reconsider where I want to put my money. And I'd like to talk too about sort of life and quilting. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel sometimes a lot of guilt related to just any leisure activity. Like, I can be sitting in here doing a project and thinking about like the dishes or the fact that the patio could be cleaner. Like, I don't know, it's the most bizarre stuff that pops into my head as I'm working. And like, I feel like now I need to be a good wife, and I need to, you know, make sure everything's clean and level up my cooking. And I've never been like a homemaker type, or I have a full-time job in a male-dominated field. And I've traveled in like alone in the past. And I have a master's degree. You know, I didn't think that I was susceptible to these sorts of attitudes. Let's say 24 minutes. I guess I'll show you lastly, you know, since this is my first video and it doesn't really matter if, you know, what I talk about in this series or this channel, because it's for me, right? It's just for me to talk to someone and see if anyone talks back. And let me show you a project I've been working on. Hold on, it's too close. I've been doing a lot of like shopping out of my stash. I don't have a very large stash, but it's larger than I thought. It's mostly a stash made up of things I bought for a particular project that I then never did. I never even started. I just bought all the stuff, put it on my list of projects, and then never thought about it again. So anyway, I've been sort of shopping my stash and finding some interesting patterns. And this pattern is one that I found online. If you just Google like free quilt patterns. I think the website is something with bears, like Bear Creek Quilt or something. It's like the first 3 results. But this particular pattern is called Flight Plan, and it's designed by Marilyn Foreman. And it is Broom Street Patterns, Timeless Treasures. And it's made with apparently Tonga 6-packs. I didn't make it with Tonga 6-packs. I don't even know what Tonga 6-packs are. But what I did was I just looked, they have some different colorways in the printout because this is 1990. And I sat down and I designed based on value, my colorway that I felt like I wanted to use. And then it called for a 4.5-inch thick like sashing or border around, and I didn't have enough fabric for that border, honestly, so I made a sort of patchwork border. And let me just show you real fast. Here is, actually, let me use this camera like a normal human. How about that? So yeah, here is the quilt itself on my design wall, which is a sheet push pinned to the wall. Yep, that's the kind of business we're running here. I still need to sew on some of the thinner sashing, or the thinner border here, and then these thicker pieces. And I think this is going to be what this second piece is going to be what I take off, because I thought originally I had enough to do 2 stripes all around, and spoiler alert, I don't. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for this video, and I'm really excited to start posting this and talking to no one in my room. Callie, please. I'm sorry that my dog is going on a mission. Yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys again, and I hope you have a wonderful night. It is probably 11:30 at night right now, and I should be going to bed, but I'm going to see if I can download this, and I'm very excited. So thank you, everyone, and please say hi down in the comments, and I will talk to you hopefully very soon. Okay, bye.